All right, welcome back YouTube to another video in how to collect series here. This one is going to be a little different than the previous ones I did just due to the niche factor of the army. This is not going to be as popular as early war Germans, Greeks, Romans, anything like that. Now, with that said, while this is more of a niche specialist army for a more astute historian gamer, there is still a lot of crossover with this army, meaning you can use it for a variety of other armies to include within those armies. Without further ado, let's just dive straight into this here. We're doing the Samnites slash Oskins. And I say Oskins because Oskin is the language group the Samnite people belong to. Oskin speaking people dominated most of central and southern Italy. They had several different tribes. Sometimes they would enter in confederations. But they had a really long history in Italy. Most famous, obviously, the Caudine Forks, and the second Samnite War, which just was a complete and utter disaster for Rome, is a very famous battle that they fought against Samnites. But I mean, before that, they had been in Italy. They clashed a lot with the Magna Graecan and Greek cities of southern and central Italy. Uh, Capua was taken over by the Samnites at some point, and all those cities are, south of Naples. Heraclea comes to mind. Those were eventually conquered and assimilated by the Samnites and Oscan-speaking people. So, this is a really cool army. It's really unique. If you do this army, not a lot of people have a straight up Samnite army in 28 millimeter. So if you have this army, it's gonna be pretty unique. Some people will have units of Samnites to include with their Romans or their successor Pyrrhus, their Pyrrhus successor armies, or their Carthaginian armies. And these guys fought a lot as uh, as mercenaries, especially for uh, the Greek cities in Sicily and for the Carthaginians. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity with these guys. So, as a standalone army, you can use them against Republican Romans because obviously they fought the first, second, and third Samnite wars against Rome, which they ultimately lost. You can use them after that. They definitely allied themselves a lot with Pyrrhus of Epirus. And the successor wars there, Pyrrhus came in at the invitation of the Tarentines, a Greek city in southern Italy, to fight the Romans, and a lot of Samnites, sore from their recent losses, joined forces with Pyrrhus. So you could have Samnite units definitely represented in a Pyrrhic army, and then Carthaginian armies. And then, I mean, I'm talking about Carthaginian armies even before the First Punic War. You can have Samnites. We know for a fact that the Carthaginians used Oscan-speaking people as mercenaries in the 5th and 4th centuries BC, even before the Punic Wars. So there's just a lot of opportunity for these armies, and honestly, you don't really need that big of an army to not only have units that you can contribute to your other armies, but as its own standalone force. They weren't quite, they didn't have quite the manpower, it would appear, or the organization of the Romans. So you don't need to have a ton of minis on the table here. And we'll do our normal routine here of going through the actual sample list that I've built. Uh, and then we'll go through manufacturers for the various options that you have. Now, the only caveat I have to this is that I'm only halfway done collecting my Samnite army. So this project will be a project I take on after my Persians and Greeks are done. So I do have some. I do have like over half the cavalry painted currently, and one of the infantry units, just because I had painted them for my Roman armies previously, and then decided that they were going to be their own standalone force. So I have painted a few of the units, but I'm still in the process of collecting. So we'll just go through here, and it's pretty apparent what I got here. Hoplites. I do have hoplites included with the Samnite army list here, and that's due to two reasons. One, They during the Samnite Wars, there is some evidence to suggest that they allied themselves with some Greek cities, and then two, they assimilated, they quote unquote conquered a lot of Greek cities on the coast there, south of Naples, and you know, they took on a lot of those people, a lot of that material culture and military culture as well. So you'll see in a lot of some miniature manufacturers will have, Campanian hoplites, that they're selling, and those are essentially Greek pseudo Greek Samnite hoplites. So I've chose to do 2 units of these guys, and these will be the heavy hitters with heavy armor, phalanx rules, that type of thing. So I have two 24-man units of there. Warriors, this is going to make up the bulk of your Samnite force here, uh, which is 3 units of 24 of these guys. And these are more of your, they'll have scutum and javelins, and they fight in open order, right? And they can have a mix of armors depending on what rule set you play and how you want to do them. And then tribesmen, I have these tribesmen to make up potential other allies, maybe non Oscan speaking people, maybe Apulians, maybe uh, Sabines, things of that nature. Now, obviously, the Sabines were very closely associated and eventually were completely absorbed by the Romans, but things of that nature, just different hills tribes that make up the Apennine Mountains there. And then skirmishers, honestly, you can choose to have these or not. There's not a lot of information on the Samnites and how their armies were organized. Just a few passing passages. We don't know uh, if they would have had like lower classes of society like the Romans that would have made up a skirmishing force, because they were a very communal people, and it would appear that most of them fought in that manner with a shield, javelin, sword, open order type thing. And then Oscan horse here, Campanian horsemen were some of the best in Italy, so I've chose to have more cavalry than what would be representative in my Roman army list. So we have 2 units of 12 of Oscan horse here. And then commander, just one. They just one chieftain, commander here. So maybe with a couple attendants with them, maybe solo. That's up to you. Most rules don't really have a method for a specific method for dealing with your general command figures. So that's how. And if you look here, you can ignore the Akinse here. They're kind of superfluous there. They're the same as the skirmishers. That's a Roman term. But yeah, you're looking at about 200, 210 miniatures for this army. So not bad for an ancient army. It's still not a skirmish army. Like, you're not playing skirmish games with this army. This is for big rule sets. So just going down here, we'll start with our old faithfuls of the plastic world here. Victrix. So Victrix has a couple separate boxes here for Samnites, armored and unarmored. I don't own any of these, but I own 5 or 6 other boxes of Victrix, and their quality only gets better with age. I don't know at what time these were produced, but what's nice is you're getting a 24-man unit for less than $1 a figure, and they're fully supported by absolutely amazing looking shield transfers from Little Big Man. So you can, the bulk of your force, if you want to go the economic route, I mean, they still look absolutely great. You can do the plastics from Victrix here. Now, they don't have any cavalry. You could potentially kit bash cavalry with Victrix if you used this box set right here. So if you kept your extra heads from the Samnite boxes and you use these Greeks, you could use these guys because they have multiple shield options, and you would just use them with the Aspis there, no armor, and they would be your Oscan horse. You could have them with javelins or spear. Doesn't really matter. So, and that wouldn't be too hard to do. Just keep the extra heads from your Samnite kits. So that's one of the great thing about about these Victrix sets is that they're very, very modular and easy to kit bash things. If they don't make a specific box set that you want, you can usually kit bash it with parts pretty damn easily, and that's especially true with the Greek light cavalry. So those are your options. That pretty much covers everything from those. I mean, if you really wanted to, if you wanted to field some skirmishers, these guys would work. So you would, obviously the crescent shield really wasn't a known, there's not a lot of evidence for that in Italy. So you'd probably want to omit that, have them just probably be unshielded javelin men or slingers, which is fine because those sets can do that. You could also probably use that small buckler as well because that was pretty much used everywhere. But yeah, you could also use this set too if you wanted to do your lights, so your skirmishers. So these guys look like Balearic. Get the headbands on and stuff. But yeah, so that's Victrix, solid option. You can't go wrong with them. Now, unfortunately, uh, the early Italian line's still down from Aventine, but these are some of my favorites. They don't have a lot for Samnites. They have really great cavalry. I own their cavalry. These sets right here, and they are really, really nice. And then they also have a unit of Italian hill tribesmen. I own a 24-man unit of these guys as well. They're obviously not there currently. They're revamping them. But yeah, those are really, really nice. Those are actually these Italian hill tribesmen are some of my favorite miniatures I own. Like they are just superb. So you can't go wrong. And if you do want just some generic skirmishers, they make generic skirmishers. You can just buy these generic Mediterranean skirmishers, right? Pretty ambiguous throughout the Mediterranean there. So, and then they have a lot of Pyrrhic stuff and successor stuff. So if you were going more that route, you could definitely get all your Pyrrhic stuff there. So that's Aventine. Uh, Not enough to do an entire army for Samnites, but they do have some good cavalry options. If you wanted to mix and match with the Victrix or Crusader or whatnot. So the next manufacturer that I'm going to show here is A&A, and these guys, their miniatures look like almost identical to Aventine, but they have a really comprehensive line of Samnites. And what's cool too is they do these army deals. You can do any 6 packs for 56 pounds or any 10 packs for 90 pounds. And they're fully supported by shield transfers from Little Big Man. So you're covered on that front. And they have cavalry and they have infantry and they have a command set. And this is what I'm going to do. I haven't done this yet, but this is what I'm going to do. And they have unarmored and armored and various armored options. So you get guys with the molded Italian cuirass. That's kind of like the pseudo muscled cuirass. It's a little shorter. That only comes to like the navel. And then you can get the guys with the triple disc pectoral or the square pectoral. So, yep, pretty good looking. You could even probably use these guys for Hastade for Romans, no problem. I mean, you could even use these guys for Roman Hastade too. I wouldn't see why not. Or even Principes. So just give them some Pelum, and they'd be good. They'd be good to go. So yeah, I'm gonna probably do the 10-pack set, and this will make out the bulk of my armies here. So the only other manufacturer I really want to talk about is Crusader. Crusader does have an Oskin line. And what's cool about them is they have the guys, they have unarmored guys, they have triple disc square guys. They have a couple different command sets. They have armored and unarmored cavalry. But what's also cool is they actually have Campanian hoplites, armored and unarmored, the command, and they have Apulian spearmen, and they have a general set. So you can really, you know, those niche units, you can get them out of here. I plan on to supplement that. I am gonna buy a an armored Campanian hoplite unit to supplement what I already have. So these are guys that'll be armed. They'll have greaves, they'll have aspis, and but they'll have the Italian armor. They won't have full-on muscled cuirasses or linen thoraxes. They'll have the the pectoral type armors on them. So they're pretty cool looking. I like uh, I like Crusader. I own a decent amount of their World War II and ancient stuff. They fit in really well with the Aventine as far as like size wise. I put the sculpting quality just slightly below. They're not bad. They're not bad. It's just you have Aventine, which is like the Aventine and A. They're up there. They're like the gold platinum standard, and I'm just saying these guys are like just slightly below that. So instead of platinum, maybe they're gold, right? They're still really nice. I like everything I own from them. And yeah, so this is the command set there. You got a musician there. You got some. The commander has the cloak. You got a standard bearer. What sucks is you got to supply your own spears. So that is what it is. The Aventine, you do not. They supply spears. I'm not sure with the A guys because oh no, cast weapons. All packs include cast weapons, so they include the weapons as well. And I don't mind the cast weapons. I know most people they don't like them because they bend easily, but it's only an occasion thing. It's not like every miniature. You play a game and you take them home, and every miniature has a bent miniature. It's like something that occasionally happens that you can normally just straighten out pretty painlessly. So I don't mind cast weapons, but you could replace them with steel weapons or plastic if you wanted. So I will say the only thing that sucks about plastic is they're a lot harder to repair when they snap. That's my big thing about plastic ones. Typically, the cast metal weapons they don't snap, they bend, and you can bend them back, or they're easier to remove and replace as opposed to the plastic ones when they snap. If you use plastic glue, you're not getting them out of the hands of the miniature, and then you're trying to repair a half broken spear, which is just going to be even more weak than it was before. So, little tangent there, but yeah, this is the army list for Oskins. This is definitely an army I'm wanting to do. Uh, not quite as hard to find stuff for as opposed to the Samnites. I'm still not sure. Or I'm sorry, the Etruscans. I'm still not sure if I'm going to do an Etruscan list. There's a few companies that do make miniatures for the Etruscans, Gorgon Miniatures, Redoubt, and then Agema just did their Kickstarter, which I got a lot of mixed emotions about from the Agema stuff. Uh, but yeah, I mean, the Samnites I feel like are a more viable option. There's a little bit more options out there for them, a little bit more easier options when you look, especially with plastics out there. You just got to know what to look for and how to kit bash your stuff. So I hope you guys find this video helpful. If you have questions about how to kit bash a particular unit or a particular nation, let me know. I could answer any questions about that with what box sets I would use to 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 kit bash. Like this is a great box set to kit bash Agrianians for Alexander's armies. You can do that because not a lot of people make, Agrianians or Illyrians, so you can kind of use these guys. But yeah, so that's this video, and until next time, guys, keep on collecting.